The council declared humans too fragile, then watched them survive the black hole. Rim Ambassador. Zeftar's crystalline appendages trembled as she accessed the emergency council chambers aboard the Nexus station. The holographic displays flickered, with gravitational anomaly readings that defied comprehension. Sagittarius A, the supermassive black hole at the galaxy's heart, had begun exhibiting unprecedented behavior. Its accretion disk was destabilizing, threatening to tear apart every inhabited system within 1,000 light-years. The evacuation protocols are failing, announced High Counselor Vrak, his chitinous form clicking nervously. Our most advanced vessels cannot withstand the gravitational shears at the evacuation perimeter. We estimate 97% casualty rates for any rescue attempt. The assembled representatives of 43 species murmured in their various forms of distress. The ethereal collective's energy beings flickered dimmer. The crystalline dominion's delegates resonated at frequencies that suggested despair. Even the seemingly indestructible Titan Forge showed stress fractures in their metallic skin. "What of the human colony ships in the affected zone?" asked Counselor Ithmos, her serpentine neck swaying. "Surely they've already been evacuated?" Uncomfortable silence filled the chamber. Zeftar consulted her datapad, her worst fears confirmed. The humans refused evacuation. They claim they can figure something out. The council erupted in a cacophony of alien expressions of disbelief. Humans had only been part of the Galactic Council for 30 standard cycles, barely a moment in galactic politics. They were the newest, weakest species to achieve interstellar travel, with primitive technology and laughably fragile biology. Their lifespans were measured in mere decades, their bodies requiring constant atmospheric support, and their vessels held together with what the humans themselves called duct tape and hope. "This is madness," declared Representative Quindal, his voice booming through his species' natural amplification chambers. "Humans cannot survive what would destroy our finest ships. They're little more than animated water with delusions of grandeur." "Perhaps," Zeftar said quietly. "We should observe their attempt, for historical records if nothing else." 3 standard days later, the council reconvened in emergency session. The gravitational readings from Sagittarius A had grown exponentially worse. The black hole's event horizon was expanding, its tidal forces reaching farther into space than any model had predicted. Automated monitoring stations throughout the galaxy had gone silent as they crossed the point of no return. "The human colony ships," reported scanner technician Veltar, his voice barely audible. They're moving toward the black hole." "Toward it?" Vrak's mandibles clicked in confusion. "Surely you mean away from it." "Negative, High Counselor. All 17 human vessels are accelerating directly toward the ergosphere." The council watched in stunned silence as the tactical display showed the impossible. The small, seemingly primitive human ships were not only surviving the intense gravitational fields that had obliterated their rescue vessels, they were thriving in them. Captain Sarah Chen's voice crackled through the long-range communications array, distorted by gravitational lensing but unmistakably human in its casual confidence. "Nexus Control, this is the human fleet. We're beginning our approach to the ergosphere. Gonna try something we saw in an old Earth movie." "Captain Chen," Zeftar transmitted, her voice tight with disbelief, "you're flying into certain death. The gravitational forces alone?" "Yeah, about that," Chen interrupted, and the council could hear what sounded suspiciously like chuckling in the background. "Turns out being fragile has its advantages. Our ships are basically held together with prayers and determination. When your fancy rigid hulls get torn apart by tidal forces, ours just bend." The displays showed the human vessels entering the ergosphere, the region around a rotating black hole where space-time itself is dragged along. Physics dictated that anything entering this zone would be swept inexorably toward the event horizon. Instead, the human ships began to accelerate. "Impossible," whispered Quindal. "Not impossible," came another human voice, Dr. Marcus Webb, the fleet's chief scientist. "Just really, really stupid if you do it wrong. See, we figured out something you folks missed. The ergosphere isn't a death trap, it's a slingshot. We're using the black hole's rotation to steal energy from its spin. The council watched in awe as the human vessels performed maneuvers that violated everything they understood about safe spaceflight. The ships twisted and flexed, their hulls bending in ways that should have snapped them in half. Instead of fighting the gravitational forces, they danced with them, using tidal effects to their advantage. How are they maintaining structural integrity? Demanded Chief Engineer Moxtel. Chen's laugh echoed through the chamber. Who said anything about maintaining it? Half our hull breaches are held together with emergency patches and sheer bloody-mindedness. Our artificial gravity failed an hour ago, so we're basically flying by the seat of our pants, literally. As the council watched, the human fleet executed what could only be described as an impossible ballet around the black hole's ergosphere. They skimmed the edge of oblivion, their ships stretching and compressing like rubber bands, using the extreme environment not as an obstacle to overcome but as a tool to master. We've established stable orbits, reported Chen. Beginning Phase 2, Colony Establishment. Colony Establishment? Zeftar's voice cracked. You're establishing colonies around a black hole? Best real estate in the galaxy, came the cheerful reply. Unlimited energy from Hawking radiation, perfect gravitational lensing for long-range observations, and nobody else is crazy enough to try and evict us. We're calling it New Sisyphus. Seemed fitting. As the tactical display updated, the council saw the impossible becoming reality. The humans were not just surviving in the ergosphere, they were building. Their flexible technology, their adaptable biology, their sheer refusal to accept impossibility had turned the galaxy's greatest natural disaster into their newest frontier. Hi, Counselor Vrock slowly turned to address the chamber, his voice filled with something between awe and terror. Perhaps, he said quietly, we need to reconsider our definition of fragile. The human colonies around Sagittarius A would go on to become the galaxy's most important research stations, their unique position allowing discoveries that revolutionized galactic science. And the Galactic Council would never again make the mistake of underestimating a species simply because they seemed breakable. After all, as the humans had proven, sometimes the greatest strength comes not from being unbreakable, but from knowing exactly how to bend without breaking.